and welcome to Shell Point Today for Monday, February 8th. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation. Thanks for joining us today. On this edition of Shell Point Today, we will learn about the Legacy Foundation's upcoming seminar this week, The Bull or the Bear, and Terry Colath will speak with Angel Duncan about an academy class, I Remember Better When I Paint.
But first, we want to remind you of tomorrow night's Fine and Performing Arts concert at the Village Church. You'll enjoy the Hollywood Concert Orchestra and their unique presentation of the latest TV, movie, and Broadway themes, written and arranged especially for the orchestra. You're sure to feel like you're at the Oscars as they take you on a musical journey of Hollywood's favorites since 1927. Don't miss this Fine and Performing Arts Series concert at 7:30 tomorrow night.
Also, don't forget that the deadline for reserving your table for this year's art show and sale in the park is this Wednesday. Make sure you contact either service desk for all the information to make reservations so that you can show your artistry skills at the show and sale on February 19th and 20th.
Looking ahead to this weekend, Saturday will be the time to get out your walking shoes and head to Punta Gorda. The walking club will take a 3-mile walk in the park that lines Charlotte Harbor and the Peace River and ends at Fisherman's Village. The 5-mile walk will continue further with a boardwalk stroll through mangroves and along Linear Park, which follows the route of the former Florida Southern Railroad. The Saturday walk departs from the administrative courtyard on the island at 8 a.m. To sign up for the walk, call Jerry Bishop of Eagles Preserve at 822-5608.
Are you concerned about the stock market? What about the prices of oil? Are they going up or down? It depends on who you ask these days, but if you want solid information from experienced and trusted financial advisors, then listen up. The Legacy Seminar entitled Bull or Bear will address your questions about how the market can affect you now and into the future. On Wednesday in the Grand Cypress Room, you'll get all the information and advice to better access what the market's future holds. And don't worry, you're not the only one with questions or concerns. It seems that Melody Desilets is all about the Dow these days, as well as FANGs and some new smart diet.
Hey Melody, what are you up to?
Oh, hey Jeff. I'm just starting a new diet actually.
Oh yeah, it's a new year. It's great to be thinking about your health.
Absolutely, and you've heard of Dr. Oz before, haven't you?
I sure have.
Well, he said this very diet would help me lose 20 pounds in 4 days, and also I could retain more information. And being new to the Legacy, I need all the help I can get.
Hey, that's great. But do you really think a fad diet's the way to go?
Well, I'm willing to try new things that are linked to a promise. In fact, I've been hearing a lot of promises lately from the stock market. I've been watching CNBC and Fox Business for the past 2 hours. And you know, to be honest, I'm confused now more than ever.
Really? Why's that?
Well, the first guest they interviewed said that oil was $18 a barrel, and then the very next guest they interviewed said it was going to be $100 by the end of the year. And in addition to that, China is devaluing the yuan, and I'm supposed to load up on gold and silver, and Jim Cramer told me to load up on something called FANG stocks. What are FANG stocks? Is that like the dogs of the Dow or the wolves of Wall Street?
No, silly. FANG stands for Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, sometimes known as Alphabet. You know, Melody, getting your investment advice from a TV personality or Jim Cramer may not be the best thing. It's sort of like skipping your doctor visits to get your health advice from Dr. Oz.
Well, some of that does make sense, but what do you suggest I do? This crazy stock market is keeping me up at night.
Why don't you join us at our upcoming Academy seminar with Raymond James? We're going to have Paul Weinstein and Nadine Wilkes here. They're going to answer all your questions, where the stock market's going, whether oil's going lower or higher, whether you should be buying gold, all sorts of things. Or maybe you should be keeping your money under your mattress in 2016.
Well, Jeff, not to have a princess in the pea complex, but why would I hide money under my mattress? Wouldn't that affect my REM?
Melody, why don't you join me on February 10th at the Grand Cypress Room for a great program. We'll learn everything about the stock market, bull or bear. It's a program you won't want to miss. Now tell me a little bit about that diet.
Well, it's really interesting actually. You put a little broccoli on there for fiber, you have bacon strips for protein, some chia seeds, and here's my favorite part, you have ice cream for dairy. And once you put it all together, it's supposed to work. Dr. Oz promised me it would. 20 pounds in 4 days and to make me smarter.
Oh. Okay, Melody. Well, why don't you come to our Grand Cypress Academy class? You're going to learn all sorts of things. Bull or bear, where's the market going from here? And you're going to be smarter even if that diet doesn't do anything for you.
And now, Terry Kolath talks with art therapist Angel Duncan about tomorrow's Academy presentation, where a film will be screened entitled, I Remember Better When I Paint. The film, followed by a panel discussion comprised of therapists, memory care, and research professionals, addresses the value of art and creativity for enriching the lives of people suffering from Alzheimer's. Here's Terry with a preview.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with a very special guest. Her name is Angel Duncan. She is a marriage therapist and an art therapist, and we are having her for a special program. It's titled, I Remember Better When I Paint. It's so great to have you back again, Angel.
It's great to be here. Thank you very much.
We enjoyed so much having you come and talk about art in the previous Academy semester, a little bit about art therapy, so we were delighted that you're going to bring us this film, I Remember Better When I Paint. And in addition, 2 other wonderful professionals, our own Dr. Chris Vadalato and Dr. Fred Sheriff from the Neuropsychiatric Research Center, as a panel of the 3 of you afterwards so we can discuss and question what we see. Tell us just a little bit about you. Have you always been interested in art and helping people work through things?
Yes, my bachelor's was in art, but I focused more on communications and marketing. And then somebody kind of put a plug in my ear about art therapy. And I used to work with children with autism and Asperger's and learning disabilities when I was in Texas. And a child that I was particularly working with doing art, he'd never been exposed to it, all these things just kept coming out. And so I started looking more into the field of art therapy, and next thing I know, I'm going to California and studied and got a double master's in counseling psychology, marriage and family therapy, and art therapy. And somehow in my education, I ended up getting routed to Alzheimer's disease, and it just kind of fell in my lap with the Alzheimer's Association, and ended up becoming a programs director, and I directed an art therapy program called Memories in the Making, and then it's just taken off. So I've been doing this for about 13, 14 years now, and here I am in Florida and doing the same work.
We're so glad you're in Florida. And we have had wonderful conversations about future things that we can do here. But for this program, tell us a little bit about this film, I Remember Better When I Paint, narrated by Olivia de Havilland.
Berna Hubner is actually a dear friend of mine. She is the mastermind producer of this film, and it's based on her mother's experience. And it's called the Hilgos Foundation, which is based off her mother, Hilda, who had Alzheimer's disease. And Berna was working with her mother, who wouldn't participate in anything. And he'd used to be an artist, but kind of fell out of it. So one day she came in and was like, Mom, we're gonna paint, let's paint. And as her mom just started painting after not doing it for so long, she sat there and said, I remember better when I paint. And so Berna just loved it, and she actually worked with an artist. And since then, Berna has taken it to the museum in Chicago, where they were doing it there, and then she spends part-time of her life in Paris. And they started doing it at the Louvre. Wow. So you'll see this in the movie. So they actually work with art therapists, not only in the United States, but also in France. And it shows the beauty of how art has just reawakened so many people that are suffering through this disease, and their loved ones as well.
It's one of the most frustrating things. You would give anything to make your person, your loved one, feel better. And then to be able to do it, how fabulous. That's wonderful. So we'll see this film. We'll certainly understand it better. I Remember Better When I Paint. And you represent so many areas, you and Dr. Vadalato and Dr. Sheriff. The questions afterwards, what are your most frequently asked questions when you show? I know you've done this in other places.
We get a ton of questions, and it's fantastic to have both the kind of, I think, the science and the art merging, because I really believe science and art need each other in so many different ways, and art therapy complements that. But we get a ton of questions about what's happening in the brain, what's firing off, and why are these things happening, like with music. If the movie Alive Inside came out, and Glenn Campbell, I'll Be Me, and there was something about music that just gets everything going, and how the art kind of complements that. So Dr. Sheriff, being a neuropsychiatrist, is able to talk about what is happening chemically. So we get a lot of questions about the brain and what's happening and exercising that in terms of research too, and what's happening in research and where are we going. And then Dr. Vadalato, of course, works with all of your residents, and he's fantastic on the emotional and psychology side of what's going on with what families are going through, what the person might be going through, as well as myself being involved in counseling and the expressive arts therapy, and talking about how these art are connecting. So it's a combination of questions about art therapy as well as research and chemistry.
And you've spoken with us about music too, and the value of music. Do you have to be a musician? Do you have to be an artist to benefit from this?
Absolutely not. And that is the beautiful thing about art therapy. I mean, art therapy is not about creating these beautiful works of art. It's about the process and enjoying the process of just being creative. And in fact, it's really interesting how there's some people who have never been exposed to art ever until they got the disease. And all of a sudden, they're creating these amazing works of art that you would have thought, and a lot of people think that they've had this art education and art background and don't.
Have you seen that in autism and Asperger's?
I have, absolutely, yeah, I have. In fact, there's a lot interesting, we might even get questions about that. There's a lot of interesting questions with the relation between Alzheimer's and autism.
Certainly is.
But, yeah.
Oh, this is so exciting. Well, we're not going to say anything else. We want you to join us. We want you to take advantage of everything that's going to be offered to you on Tuesday, February 9th, just an hour and a half in the Grand Cypress Room. And you'll also spend some time with Angel Duncan.
Valentine's Day is coming this weekend, and the Palm Grill and the Crystal have the perfect dining options for you to celebrate.
Come celebrate Valentine's Day with a special dinner at the Palm Grill. Saturday, February 13th from 4 until 8 p.m., you can enjoy live music and entree choices such as filet mignon, lamb chops, prime rib, Florida grouper, and salmon piccata. A special dish, the Loving Couple, consists of shrimp scampi and a petite filet mignon. There's also a sweetheart salad available and special Valentine desserts. Prices range from $21 to $29, and call-ahead seating is available at 454-2059. On Sunday, February 14th, enjoy a buffet brunch at the Crystal Room from 10:30 a.m. until 2 p.m., featuring carved beef tenderloin, carved oven-roasted turkey, roasted sweet pepper chicken, orange roughy, and a variety of hot vegetables. The Crystal's large dessert buffet will include the chocolate fountain. The buffet brunch at the Crystal, just $17.50 on Valentine's Day.
And now it's time to take a look at today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections, right after this Listening to the Words preview from David Howenstein.
The love enshrined in Valentine's Day is the inspiration for several of the pieces featured in this week's Listening to the Words program. After we look at the legend of St. Valentine, we'll delve into a love story in which Annie remembers receiving a love note from Danny every morning. I'll be honored to read a love poem, which includes the line, "You are the object of all my imaginings." Also, Joan Marshall and I will read a dialogue between lovers who might have been. My Love is the title of a poem written by Shell Point resident Jane Kennedy. We'll also remember the healing love that was sent to the survivors of the Japanese nuclear disaster of this century. And you'll enjoy the funny Valentine written by the incomparable Ogden Nash. And because February contains President's Day, you'll hear a report on another incomparable, Harry Truman. And finally, some fun letters written by young kids and sent to Dear Mr. President. I'm David Howenstein. promising you all this and more on Listening to the Words, playing twice an hour every day this week on Shell Point Channel 12. And anytime at www.shellpoint.net/listening. And thank you for listening to the words.
Welcome to the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley.
And I'm Caitlin Van Scoy.
And we're going to go over the activities offered for you here today at Shell Point. We're going to start at 8 o'clock this morning with the men's match play tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. At 8:45, you'll find virtual bowling in the Resident Activities Center. 9:15, there's billiards at the Resident Activities Center. The Lollygagger paddlers will be at the kayak storage, leaving at 9:15 for their weekly trip. Also at 9:15, we have pottery with instruction in the pottery studio. Men's match play tennis will be at 10 o'clock. And also at 10 o'clock, our Suzy Q boat goes to Matanzas on the Bay. You do need to sign up at the Island Greeters desk for that. And we have a Health Connections class, Brain Boot Camp. That's in the Social Center at 10:15. At 10:30, the Disciple Men's Bible Study Group will be in the game room of the Woodlands. At 10:45, table tennis, this is the playing clinic, will be in the Tarpon Room on the island. And we have a Health Connections class at 11:30, Agility and Flexibility. That's in the Health Club, and that's currently full. Here is Caitlin for your afternoon lineup.
Thank you, Bev. We start with Mahjong this afternoon at 12 o'clock in the Sable Room at the Woodlands. Samba, the card game, will be in the Resident Activity Center at 1:15. Also at 1:15, the Tone Chimes will be gathering in the Osprey Room. And the Model Train Room is open for complimentary tours and viewing from 1:30 to 3:30. There's a Health Connections class at 1:45, Balance and Mobility for Beginners. That's in the Health Club. At 2 o'clock, we have a Living History performance performed by Damaris Peters-Pike, and that she's impersonating Frankie Gershwin. That's in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. Also at 2 o'clock, the Beady-Eyed Bee Club will be gathering in the Oak Room at the Woodlands. And there's another Health Connections class, Pilates Stretch, in the Health Club, and that's at 3 o'clock. The Shell Point Singers Rehearsal will be in the choir room of the Village Church at 3:15. And at 5 o'clock, the singles table is available at the Crystal Dining Room. We move to 6:30 for Beginners Square Dancing in the Health Club. Also at 6:30, Duplicate Bridge will be available in the game room of the Woodlands. Our last Monday activity is 7:30 Square Dancing in the Health Club, and that one is currently closed. Well, we're so happy you joined us here today. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Monday. At 10 o'clock, we have a class on NATO, the geopolitics of the North Atlantic Alliance, in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands, and you can sign up right at the door. At 10:15, our iPad apps class continues in the Manatee Room on the island. And at 10:30, we have another session of Anatomy of Words in the Oak Room of the Woodlands, open to everyone. And at 1:15, Basic iPad continues in the Technology Teaching Center on the island. I'd like to tell you what's coming up tomorrow. Paul Neighbors of Rosemont will teach a computer class, What Do I Do Now? And we welcome 3 guests to show a film, I Remember Better When I Paint, and then provide a panel discussion. Our guests are Dr. Chris Vadalato of our own Behavioral Health Department, and Angel Duncan and Dr. Fred Sheriff of the Neuropsychiatric Research Center. Bruce Finley will be doing an iPhone class, apps, and Dr. Al Kaplan of Oakmont will be teaching a computer class, Making Labels for Your Mail List.
Menus for Monday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is turkey pot pie with a buttermilk biscuit and fried green beans. The dinner special is Old Home Cooking Night for $11.95. The soup of the day is Senate Bean. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a roast beef cheddar melt with chips for $7.75. The dinner special is grilled tilapia with fruit salsa, rice pilaf, and steamed broccoli for $8.75. And the Palm Grill is closed on Mondays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with John Sappia, who's an international worker with the Christian and Missionary Alliance, And John, you've been with us for this Global Impact Week.
Sure have.
And you know, it's kind of remarkable as I've listened to your stories and some of the presentations that you've made, and I always learn things from our international workers, but I was really amazed that you actually have a connection with our stamp ministry here at the Shell Point Retirement Community. Well, and I want to know about that, yes. And I'm sure the people here at Shell Point would want to know about that, because I can tell you, when I first got involved in a Christian and Missionary Alliance church, probably about 30 years ago, up in Morgantown, West Virginia, we had people collecting stamps. Collecting used stamps. I thought that's really strange. That's right. And they would cut them out, put them in bags, ship them to some place called Shell Point. And I couldn't figure out what in the world they would do with those things.
The best part is, I grew up in the same reality in Brooklyn. My mom would cut these stamps, and she'd yell, "Don't throw that out! We need that stamp!" And they'd send it to Shell Point, and
Yeah, and so it wasn't until I actually came here I could see the stamp room and the wonderful people who work there and the enthusiasm they bring to the task. But what happens is those folks, collect them and cut them and organize them and then sell them, because there are dealers that really look for those kinds of opportunities, and some are obviously more valuable than others, but they buy lots of them, and they raise an incredible amount of money in a remarkable way. Since they started the stamp ministry, I don't know how many years it's been going, but they've raised over $900,000 that has contributed to some of the ministry initiatives of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. But you know firsthand of what the most recent ministry initiative that has benefited from that. So tell us a little bit about that ministry.
That's right. Well, we're in Paraguay, South America, and that's right next to Argentina. And the monies that is raised through the stamp ministries go to a publishing branch of the Christian Missionary Alliance in Argentina, where they develop Sunday school material, Sunday school curriculum, and it's excellent curriculum. We have a lady in our church who came in from the Free Methodist Church, and she was the Sunday school superintendent for the entire Free Methodist Church, so in Paraguay. So this is what she does: check on Sunday school material. When she looked at the material that we use, when she looked at the material from Argentina, she's like, "Wow, I need this material. This material is excellent." We've been using it for a long time in our Sunday school program. We work with a lot of children in Paraguay, and we've been using it for many years. I'll tell you one story. One of my favorite stories is about this girl named Andy, and I was able to share this story down at the stamp ministry when I went to visit the room this week. There's this wonderful girl named Andy who came to us from Argentina. She's Paraguayan, but her mom and her lived in Argentina. But when her mom died of cancer and her father was nowhere to be found, Andy had to move back to Asunción, Paraguay, where we live, and live with her aunt, who attends our church. And so she started going to Sunday school, but when she showed up, she was addicted to cigarettes. She already tried drugs. She already tried alcohol. Her life was a mess. Yeah, and then her mom had just died. I mean, like literally that week when she showed up. So it was a hard time. But she started being involved in our church, and we started loving on her, and we started bringing her through our Sunday school program, where we use the material from Argentina that is made because of the monies that's raised from the stamp room here. And Andy, in time, actually, she surrendered her heart to Christ. She gave up her cigarettes, never went back to drugs and alcohol, and was the first baptized member of our church.
Isn't that remarkable?
Yeah, it was a beautiful day, lots of tears. So, and the neat part about Andy is she's grown up. This is years ago. She's 18 now, and she's one of my daughter's best friends, and they go to the mall together. But Andy has grown up not only physically, she's grown up spiritually. spiritually. And she's actually a leader in our Sunday school and children's ministry. She sings in the worship team, and she wants to become a missionary.
How about that?
Yeah. She actually wants to become a nurse and then take her nursing skills overseas, but she had a problem. She didn't have the money to go to college, and she didn't know what to do. So she comes to me and she goes, "Pastor, how am I gonna go to college? I can't afford to go to college to learn to be a nurse, so I can be a missionary. What do I do?" And we prayed. And we began to pray, and it didn't take more than 2 weeks before the Lord answered this prayer. And she got a call from a family member back in Argentina, and he's like, "Andy, what are you doing with your life?" And she started explaining how she surrendered her life to Jesus, and she wants to go to school to become a nurse and go overseas and become a missionary. And the man was absolutely floored by this girl who's matured into this godly woman. But she said, "But I don't know how I'm going to afford it." And he goes, "Andy, you pick the school. I'll pay for it."
Isn't that remarkable?
And so she's currently in school right now learning to be a nurse.
Yeah. So this is one of those things that it's neat, I think, for the people, especially who work in the stamp ministry, but all of the Shell Point community, to see how those discipleship materials have brought this girl, not only who had just come to Jesus, but then really develop her and disciple her into that kind of godly woman. That's a remarkable testimony to what takes place every day at the stamp room.
That's right. Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. And sometimes we're here and we're cutting stamps or praying. Mm-hmm. And we wonder, is it really having an effect on the other side of the world? Right. And I can tell you, it really is. So don't stop. Don't stop cutting those stamps, and don't stop praying. Yeah. Here in Shell Point, your prayers here and your work here is changing lives on the other side of the world.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Great story. Thank you, John.
My pleasure.
And we thank you for joining us with Village Church Connections, and so we hope to see you soon.
Thanks for joining us for today's program. On tomorrow's show, we will hear about an academy class on Facebooking with the iPad, and about an upcoming meeting for those interested in a unique and exciting sport of dragon boat racing. Until then, this has been Shell Point Today for Monday, February 8th. I'm Rich Nation.
And I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you again for another Shell Point Today tomorrow.